Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I promised that I am going to be saying or talking more about the article that the Jerusalem Post published about. Let me use the term they used, the lost tribes of Israel, even though I have great reservations about the title of the article. The article, I find it important because, as I mentioned in my last video, it was the first article by a mainstream media that broke the embargo, the fatwa on the Igbo question. Yeah, we know that there are people, there are forces, there are institutions in the world that don't want to hear the Igbo story. That was why it took 12 whole months for a rabbinical ruling to get into the mass media. But within the last 12 months, we know the amount of false information that various news organizations have pushed out about the Igbo people. If the ruling had been that Igbos are not Israelites, over 50 newspapers, television stations, radio stations would have done series and series about it. But because the ruling noted, mentioned, stated emphatically that the Igbo people, look at the word Igbo. This is the current usage. 20 years ago, it was more like IBO. Because the ruling noted emphatically that Igbos are lineal descendants of the biblical Israelites. It took 12 months for a major formal news organization to mention it in writing. So I think that article is important. And with the embargo apparently having been lifted, I think it is important that I put out more information about the Igbos. Because the very few people that actually know about the Igbos today, 2023, may not always be available as we were, Yehonatan Elazadi Mota and myself, as we made ourselves available and we are interviewed. So, it is very, very important to keep on putting out the truth so that when people cannot reach us, they will not go to Wikipedia and Google to find information about the Igbos. They will come to this channel. I will continue by saying Igbos are not lost tribes of Israel. Igbos are an Israelite nation of, if you are talking about those that retain ties to Igbo land today, over 40 million people. But if you are talking about those that descended from those people that are referred to as Igbo today, you may be looking at 80 to 100 million. Because in that case, you will start considering the Sierra Leoneans, or a very large number of Sierra Leoneans, a very large number of Liberians, a very good number of African Americans, a very good number of Caribbeans, a very good number of Afro-Latinos. Very recently, I saw a citizen of the Dominican Republic, a lady, talking about her Igbo ancestry. She looked exactly the way I look. I've just stated how to even look at the Igbos, because not many people know that that is the way to look at Igbos. They start from lost tribes, and generally they get lost along the way. You cannot call 40 million people with one of the most important diasporas in the United States of America a lost tribe of Israel. If you want to have an idea of the struggles of the Igbo diaspora in the United States of America, Get Igbo Americans, authored by myself, is on Amazon. We don't know the exact numbers of this group, but we know that they are very important. They possess more PhDs per capita than any other ethnic group in America. I'm talking about Igbos who are Americans. On another note, for the interested, in the past 1,000 years, what we call Igbo land is the only place in the world before the modern state of Israel rose where you can find something that amounts to a state, an independent country, an Israelite independent country. It was found only in what you call Igbo land. Igbo land, before it was brought down by the British and next to its imperial colonial empire, was a country in every sense, and not just a regular country, but a unique and super successful country. We survived the slave trade, even though the Igbos suffered more from that infernal trade than any other group in Africa. After slavery had ended, observers still could not hide something that I still think about every day. They noted that among the Igbos, there was no prostitution and there was no destitution, even after all the disruptions of slavery. The republics built were so durable that was what they presented after 500 years of slavery. If you want to verify what I'm talking about, Get Broken Paradise is also on Amazon. If you want to know more about Igbo culture, Get Igbo Religion and Culture is also on Amazon. Find Hebrew Igbo Republics too, and the Igbos and Israel, an intercultural study of the largest Jewish or Israelite diaspora. All these books are on Amazon. I'm putting out this information because Igbos are a part of this world. Igbos cannot close themselves off. Otherwise, the best thing in our present circumstance is to close off ourselves and continue rebuilding our battered, endangered society. But we cannot tell 40 million people to stop talking to people. And we cannot tell people to stop asking questions. But we are telling people of goodwill where to find authentic and valuable resources. Rushing off to Wikipedia, rushing off to Google, even going to the universities to find information about Igbos are not always helpful, because just like every other society in the world, just like every other people in the world, most members, most people that claim to be part of a society don't invest the time and resources to know everything about that society. This is not unique to Igbos. So I am putting out this information for the interested, because Also be aware that the more valid information the Igbos themselves get about themselves, the easier will it be for us to mend what is broken. Igbos will rise again. Using Omenana and the Hebrew Bible as my instruments of evaluating history, I know that Igbos will rise again. And we want you to be a partner with us as we rebuild our people. In that very article I'm referring to, I know people who have access to these materials, and if they had read them, probably their voices would have been heard also, would have been heard in that article. But some did not read it, and I'm urging them that they need to. One of the persons who has visited Igbo land but simply stopped at one of the Igbo synagogues, did not really study Igbo history, was heard saying that the question, let me leave that for now, but in a general sense, I will still talk about what I wanted to leave now. The idea that any group in the world cannot prove that they are descended from the Israelites does not apply to the Igbos. The Igbos can prove that they are descended from the Israelites. And the proof is very simple. The religion and culture that Moses practiced is the current contemporary religion of the Igbos. And what Moses knew it as was Omenana in the language of the Israelites. If you want to confirm this, go to even an English translation of the Bible. Go to even an English translation of the Bible. Read Deuteronomy 6:1, preferably, so that you won't be relying on only one passage of the Bible. Get this. Look at the over 20 places I mentioned the religion of the Israelites, which, by the way, you can never see unless you are looking at the religion and language and culture of the Israelites from the Igbo perspective. From outside non-Igbo perspective, you will be thinking that the religion and culture of the Israelites did not have a description or a descriptive name. So get this book, look at all the places I picked out the description. Then find anybody, not necessarily myself, who knows the Igbo language, tell them to translate what you are reading in Igbo. What will jump out at you is Omenana. I will say Shabbat Shalom, but not before urging you to subscribe to this channel. Tell your friends to subscribe, and please get these books. They could be your contributions to what we are trying to do, rebuild the Hebrew Igbo republics again. Thank you. Bye-bye.